Hello viewers, welcome to the episode on tourism carrying capacity. In this episode, we will be discussing on various aspects of tourism carrying capacity which are divided into 5 subheadings, namely tourism destination carrying capacity, principles of sustainable tourism concept, international initiatives on sustainable tourism development, types of carrying capacities and tourism ethics. Let us now discuss about introduction to tourism carrying capacity. Tourism is one of the fastest growing industries in the world. Because of its economic benefits, there is severe competition among the countries of the world to attract more number of tourists. Both developing and developed countries woo tourists by giving different types of offers. Because of revolution in transport and communication, and with a lot of disposable income, even with middle class, there is great increase in tourism activities in the world. For many years, European countries have been primary destinations for tourists, which receives about 60% of international tourists every year. France, Spain, Italy, United Kingdom and Austria are placed among the top 10 popular destinations of the world. Tourism development is important, particularly for Mediterranean and Caribbean regions, as their economy depends mainly on tourism. The Alps, the coastal areas, islands, mountain resorts, etc. have been receiving large number of tourists. Whether more tourism brings really more benefits to the destination is a question by environmentalists all over the world. Is there any limit for tourism activities? Most of the tourism activities depend upon the nature. How long we can exploit these natural resources? Is there a limit above which these resources becomes exhausted or unavailable? In the last 3 decades, these questions are asked by environmentalists all over the world. Tourism destination carrying capacity. According to Mr. Cooper, tourism carrying capacity is the level of tourist presence which creates impact on the host community, environment and economy that are acceptable to both tourists and hosts and sustainable for the years to come. According to Mr. Matheson and Mr. Wall, tourism carrying capacity refers to the maximum number of people who can use a site without an unacceptable decline in the quality of experience gained by the visitors. According to Mr. Middleton and Mr. Hawkins, tourism carrying capacity is the level of human activity on an area which can accommodate without the area deteriorating, the resident community being adversely affected or the quality of visitors' experience declining. The United Nations World Tourism Organization, that is UNWTO, has defined the destination carrying capacity as the maximum number of people that may visit a tourist destination at the same time without causing the destruction of physical, economic, socio-cultural, environmental decrease in the quality of visitors' experience or satisfaction. In simple terms, carrying capacity may be defined that the maximum number of persons a destination can accommodate at any given time without compromising on its delivery. Tourism depends upon the attraction power of destinations' resources, which are as follows: primary or natural resources like climate, landscape, ecosystem, hills and mountains, valleys, seas, rivers, waterfalls, wildlife, forest wealth, biodiversity, etc. Cultural resources like archaeological monuments, historical places, heritage monuments, culture, customs and traditions, folk, music, dance, paintings, crafts, sculpture, etc. Social resources like demographic features, health, environments, law and order, security, attitude of the local community, financial position, infrastructure, other basic facilities, etc. There is no tourism activity that does not rely on environmental resources in some way or the other. For example, natural resources are used for tourism activities like water, heat, sanitation, etc. The waste generated by tourism activities are to be absorbed by the environment. This pressurizes the environment and spoils its normal conditions. In the long run, when these resources are exhausted, and then there will be serious negative impact on tourism as well as on the economy of the local community. The principles of sustainable tourism concept. The idea of sustainable tourism concept is of recent origin. This idea was promoted by Brundtland report in 1987 and acknowledged by the international community at the Rio summit in 1992. It was again discussed at the World Summit on Sustainable Development in Johannesburg in 2002. It has been much debated in UN and other international forums by the academicians, scientists, NGOs and other concerned people. Sustainable tourism involves social responsibility, a strong commitment to nature and integration of local community in any tourism operations or developments. It is envisaged as leading to management of all resources in such a way that economic, social and aesthetic needs can be fulfilled while maintaining cultural integrity, essential ecological process, biological activities and rice support system. Sustainable tourism products are products which are operated in harmony with the local environment, local community and local culture so that they become the beneficiaries and not the victims of tourism development. Responsible tourism, soft tourism, alternate tourism, minimum impact tourism, etc. are the other terms used for sustainable tourism. To introduce the sustainable tourism concept, the following steps may be required. A. Increasing the regulatory measures in the destinations. B. Creating sufficient awareness among the tourists as well as hosts about costs of savings from natural and sensible resource consumptions. C. Tourism promoters and tourists should recognize that quality of experience is very essential for a competitive tourism product. D. The government and operators should be aware that too much growth of tourism have negative impact on the environment. E. The local community should be well educated about the negative impact of tourism when the number of tourists received are more than its carrying capacity. Number 3. International initiatives on sustainable tourism development. With the adverse environmental effect on tourism gaining increasingly popularity and getting too much publicity, the demand from the concerned people to accept sustainable tourism concept on various regulatory bodies have gained momentum. Now, most of the countries have accepted sustainable tourism concept as the guidelines in their tourism development plans. International agencies like UNWTO and WTTC, International Federation of Tour Operators, have attempted to highlight environmental issues in tourism development. UNWTO published a guide for sustainable tourism development for local planners. United Nations Environmental Programme in collaborations with International Hotel Environmental Institute has prepared guidelines to improve the environmental performances of hotels. As a result, the green hotel concept is gaining momentum. The International Convention on Biodiversity supported the principle of Sustainable Tourism Development Plan. The European Union on Environment and Sustainable Development has given the following guidelines for developing sustainable tourism. A. Enhance the quality of tourism product and services. B. Prioritization and promotion of best practices and innovative actions for tourism management. C. Assure accessibility and collaboration of individuals for sustainable tourism development. D. Promote elongation of tourist season. E. Create awareness and provide training facilities in new forms of tourism management. The characteristics of the locality provide the basic structure for the development of tourism. These can be evident in the terms of local resources, the vulnerability of local natural ecosystem, population size, economic structure, culture and local heritage. To some extent, the characteristics of a locality determines its resilience to pressure from tourism. The size, the structure and dynamism of the local society can be significant factors which influence the destination's ability to cope with the pressures and impacts from tourism. Deciding the carrying capacity of each destination is most useful because it draws the attention to limit the tourists to a particular destination. Local authority on sustainable tourism development. Starting from the initial planning stage only, the local community should be taken into confidence. They must be informed and, if possible, involve them in the destination development process. Any apprehension or fear in their mind about the dislocation of their work or job should be first cleared. The benefits from the development of destination should be explained to them. As far as possible, locals must be taken for any additional jobs created by the destination development. A fair share of benefits from tourism development should go to the locals. All steps should be taken to preserve and protect the local culture. Any destination to get its sustainability should involve the local community. Many tourism projects have either been shelved in the initial stages only or failed to take off at the later stages because of non-cooperation by the locals. They may take initiatives for launching Local Agenda 21 and tailoring it to suit their local situations. They can take the services of the experts in each area and develop the destination on sustainable concept. They can set up a committee of all stakeholders to get the support of local talents for developing sustainable tourism development. The stakeholders group may consist of representatives from travel and tourism industry, community group, hospitality industries, etc. Community-based destination development. Starting from the initial planning stage only, the local community should be taken into confidence. While there are a set of principles and practices to guide sustainable tourism development, stakeholders still face a number of challenges which are as follows. Number 1, getting the public support and local community including the governmental support. Number 2, getting the required funds to preserve and protect the destination. Number 3, a public-private, that is PPP model need to be developed to develop and maintain the destination. Types of carrying capacities. There are 5 types of carrying capacity. Number 1, physical carrying capacity. The following are the important factors which affects the physical carrying capacity. A. Land area and accommodation available in the destination. B. Road networks and the availability of sufficient local transportation, both public and private. C. rail network and the number of trains connecting other destinations including luxury trains for the convenience of the tourists. D. Community networkings like telephones, mobile connectivity and other modes of communications. E. Water, sanitary lines, sewage treatment and electricity. F. Food availability like good hotels, restaurants, resorts and other eateries. G. Banquet hall and convention centers. H. Facilities for nightlife including bar, entertainments, etc. I. Medical facilities available like good hospital, nursing homes, etc. J. Law and orders and peaceful atmosphere in the destination. K. Safety and security for the tourists. L. Political stability in the state. Number 2 is the social and cultural carrying capacity. The following are the important factors that affects the socio-cultural fabrics of the destination. A. Effects on social activities of the locals on account of tourism. B. Any conflicts that may arise between the locals and the tourists on account of social customs, traditions and practices. C. Any change in the cultural ethos of the locals on account of tourism. D. Any conflict between the local culture and the tourist culture. E. Conflicts between the locals and the tourists because of caste, creed, colors, religion, language, ethnic, etc. F. Social and cultural impact on account of improvement in economic conditions of the locals because of tourism. Number 3. Heritage related carrying capacity. Important queries in the context of this type of carrying capacity are as follows. A. How many tourists or visitors can be accepted or accommodated by an archaeological site or monuments per day? B. How can the monuments or sites can be preserved and protected with regard to the number of tourists visiting the site per day? C. What shall be the cost of conserving and maintaining these monuments in terms of its heritage value? Number 4. Psychological carrying capacity. How the locals react to the tourists' arrivals in the destination is going to affect the destination's carrying capacity. A. Responses of locals to foreign visitors when the latter arrives at the destination. B. Attitudes of the locals towards those visitors who stays in the tourism destination for a long period. C. Problems of congestion and cultural shock that springs up as a result of tourist arrival in large numbers. D. Interference in their routine life during holidays due to excessive influx of tourists. E. Stress and strain for the people engaged in the tourism industry on account of rush of tourists. Number 5 is the legal carrying capacity. A. Restrictions imposed by the state on the arrival of nationals of the specified country. B. Restrictions imposed by the state in certain prohibited areas like nuclear research stations, power generating stations, dams, etc. C. Wars and conflicts with other country may force the state to prohibit the entry of citizens of enemy country. Apart from the above factors, there are also a number of other factors which affects the carrying capacity. Natural conditions like climate, season, temperature and other related factors also affect tourism carrying capacity. For example, tourists cannot go to many European countries during winter. National policy. The national policy of the government should be tourist friendly. The government should encourage the tourists to stay for a longer period and spend more. Political policy plays a vital role in this context. A nation under dictatorship rule is not preferred by the tourists. People want freedom while traveling and enjoying holidays. tourism ethics. All culture and societies are committed to specified ethical values within which common area of concern have been accepted. These values draw upon secular traditions and faith in humanity. Both tourists and locals should respect each other. All rules and regulations of the destination should be based on mutual faith and respect and allow interactions of the individuals, communities and societies. These principles embody the dignity of every individual as a fundamental ethical principle. These principles apply in all areas of life including tourism. These ethics bring rights and responsibilities to all the stakeholders of the tourism industries, which gives sustainability to tourism projects. UNWTO has adopted a resolution for practicing ethical values in tourism, which stands on the following principles: tolerance and mutual respect. The understanding and promotion of ethical values common to humanity with an attitude of tolerance and respect for the diversity of religious, philosophical and moral beliefs are both foundation and consequences of responsible tourism. All the stakeholders in the tourism destination and the tourists themselves should observe the social and cultural traditions and practices of all people, including those of minorities and indigenous people. Tourism activities should be conducted in harmony with the attributes and traditions of host community. Local community should be receptive. The host community and the local professionals, on the other hand, should acquaint themselves with the lifestyles, tastes and expectations of the visitors and respect the visitors who visit them. Suitable education and training should be given to the professionals in this regard. Safety. It is the responsibility of the local public authorities to give full protection to the tourists. They must pay special attention to the safety and security of the foreigners and other vulnerable people. Crime. The tourists and visitors should not commit any type of crime or any act which is considered criminal act as per the law of the land. They should not behave in any manner which is injurious to the local community or damage to any property of the host community. They should refrain from all trafficking in illicit drugs, arms, antiques, protected species and products and substances that are dangerous or prohibited by the law of the land. Local culture. The visitors should acquaint themselves about the customs, traditions, food habits, costumes and dress, climate and environment before they depart to the destination. Exploitation. Exploitation of human beings in any form, particularly sexual exploitation, are prohibited either by the visitors or by the locals. Interactions. Travelers who, for the purposes of religion, health, education, language, etc., visits a place should be allowed to have free interaction. Their economic, social and cultural beliefs are very much valuable and they should be encouraged. Conservation. All the stakeholders in the tourism destination should safeguard the natural environment with a view to achieving sound, continuous and sustainable economic growth to satisfy equitably the needs and aspirations of the present and future generations. Resource savings. All forms of tourism developments that are conducive to saving rare and precious resources should be encouraged. Savings of water and energy as well as avoiding or reducing generating waste should be given top priority. These attitudes shall inculcated by all the stakeholders of tourism industries. Preservation. Tourism infrastructure should be scientifically designed and tourism activities should be conducted in such a way as to protect the natural heritage composed of ecosystem and biodiversity. It should also preserve species of wildlife, flora and fauna of the destination. Maintenance. A part of the revenue generated from tourism activities should be spent for maintenance and development of the destination. To conclude, in the last 2 decades, lot of awareness is created by all the stakeholders of tourism industry about the concept of sustainable tourism, particularly in the area of ecology and environment. It is very much essential to conduct a study on carrying capacity of each destination in the process of destination development. Either by regulation or by strict adherence to the sustainable principles, tourism activities should be restricted. Thank you.